John and Dylan are online, and yes, they may have access to some ill-gotten Bitcoin funds, but hey, let's not get into that. Let's get into some talking about the internet, because every podcast is secretly a Bitcoin scam. Even Mark Maron, especially Mark Maron.
Yeah. Can I did you hear the thing about that fucking 14-year-old kid who made up his own coin, live streamed it and pumped and dumped it at 30K, and then like crypto people were so mad that they just boosted the coin to like $1 million or something, and then they did the same thing, which is so funny because it's like, hey, you can't do that thing we do. We do that thing we do. It's like crazy, man.
The crypto community, we could have fucking killed that whole thing in its fucking crib if we had just suffocated every long-haired guy in a dragon shirt in 2003. Every guy who was sober at a bush party, if we had just taken them into the woods and whacked them in the back of the head with a log like we all fantasized, we would be not facing what I would like to call the really stupid depression. Oh, why did the depression happen in the 1930s? Oh, well, because of a variety of unregulated stocks. How did the really stupid depression happen? Basically, a bunch of coins named after weed. We put pensions in them, and it turns out they were nothing. It's not going to affect me and Dylan, but that baby is really going to be affected by it.
Pensions will allow, like, throw it in Doge.
Oh, Dylan, you don't understand what's happening. So Bitcoin and all that stuff is not like a legitimate stock. You can't trade it on a stock market, and it can't be like wrapped up into financial products. And Trump has been like, you know what? We're doing that now. And basically what they're like, it's like, hey, remember the 2008 financial crash, but in 2006 when shit was good? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, we're doing that again. It's like,
oh, they're just going to be like, here's 2 years of fun, and then fuck you, everybody.
Yeah, it's basically
the whole Trump cabinet thing is great.
I love it.
The weird tariffs. He's like, there's a tariff on looking me in the eyes now.
You know what? You know what I like about this? It's everyone always wanted an American movie president, and we fucking got it. Literally just being like, remember that trade deal I made fucking 4 years ago or 6 years ago? Fuck you, we're doing a new thing now. And literally, may I just say this? I really respect Mexico. Mexico just was like, we're not doing that. How about that? And then Canada's like, well, we're not sure really, but I just like Mexico. No. How about fuck you? It's the two different vibes right there, the two different borders. The passive-aggressive North and the aggressive South.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen? He would do this stuff all the time where he'd be like, every car owes me $15. That was like 2017. They're like, you can't do that. He's like, oh, I guess I can't. Yeah.
Here's the thing that is nice, just having my mom who was a business professor and my dad who was a dork, where they were both like, too many raw materials come from those places. He'll do it for like a day, and then they'll be like, hey, everything costs 75% more. And then they're like, we're not doing that no more. Never mind.
Well, that's what happened with, remember, he tried to, like, no more automotive parts from Canada, and then people in both countries were like, we operate borderless because we're on the same landmass. I don't even know. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and then it just didn't happen.
First of all, thank you, Ozzy. Yeah. Here's the thing I keep saying to people, which is, if you want to buy a Windstar, now's the time to buy a Windstar. I believe in the 14 words. Whoa, Ozzy, the 14 words. What have you been reading?
Yeah. He's got a 1% tattoo on his neck already. He's ready for the Trump presidency.
Oh my God, I'm really glad that. So for those of you who don't know, Dylan is raising one kid super lib, the other kid super mid.
Yeah. I'm raising one kid to like fucking Dick Cheney, the other one Donald Trump, liberal and conservative.
That's right. As you all know, we really should have done this pivot in 2017 on the Wrestler Review, but now we're doing it now. This is now an Elon Stan podcast. Let's talk exclusively about how the Cybertruck is great. Also, there's a guy who owns a Cybertruck in my neighborhood, and I love this guy. Parks the wrong way.
I saw 2 Cybertrucks in Barrie, Ontario on the weekend.
Oh, fuck yeah, bro. That's like going to England and meeting the Queen.
I saw one in Bradford, Ontario, in the parking lot of a bar show there that holds 40 people. And then I saw one driving down the highway to Toronto the next day. I saw
right.
another Cybertruck, and the guy like signaled. He crossed across 3 lanes and signaled. And because of my expectations about people who drive Cybertrucks, I was like, well, actually, this guy's a good driver.
I'm shocked. I got to tell you, I
Like,
see
even
there's
the
a
fact
lot.
that he went from the merging lane directly to the fast lane. The fact that he signaled, I was like, that is so much more than I expected from
First
him.
of all, Ontario drivers, the fact that there was a signal at all is amazing. And the fact that it's a Tesla brand product that he was using those signals, unbelievable. So I was in Phoenix,
he had
Arizona.
to rewire it for it to signal.
Yeah, exactly. Because usually if you signal out on a bog standard Cybertruck, it's just Elon Musk's voice just going, "You're a pussy, pussy, pussy," inside the car. And then the engine just stops. What is amazing about Phoenix, Arizona, where I was doing comedy in August, is I was making a bunch of jokes how there was 4 different Cybertrucks in the parking lot, and I was just like, "This is what I look like. I look like the guy." They just see my face and they're like, "This guy's going to talk about how fucking Cybertrucks make people not realize that you got a micro penis, bro," or whatever I said. And one guy after the show was like, "You can make those jokes, but you haven't driven one." And I was like, "I'll drive your Cybertruck." And then I drove a Cybertruck around the parking lot, and it does not drive well. I have a truck. My truck drives so much better because it was invented by the Japanese, as we all know. When it comes
Whoa,
to,
do you have to say the accent of the manufacturer? What do you?
that is correct. I was trying to do a British
I
accent.
was like paying attention to what you're saying, but mostly trying to get my kid's hand out of his own mouth. But then
No.
that accent, I would have dropped my baby and any other service. What?
That's right.
Someone says an accent, I get so excited to call them out on it. Anyway, so here's what I will say about I watched some weird truck videos because my stepbrother, who has a PhD and I'm pretty sure hasn't said anything "I loved you" to anything that wasn't one of those Japanese girlfriend pillows, showed me a bunch of videos of them trying to like make a Cybertruck do what a truck does.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Like haul anything,
Sure.
and it's like I think the hitch can hold 150 pounds.
How about you put away your Rosetta Stone and talk to someone who is fluent in this language? They are amazing. The best ones are what kind of fences can this Cybertruck versus fence? It has yet to win against any type of fence. We're talking picket fence.
It's a big truck, dude. It's like fucking what's it called? It's like a Range Rover or something. It's like, hey, what's a good thing for a Cybertruck, dude? The frunk. I'm all about a frunk. I'll be real. Cybertrucks, if you haven't looked into it, you can get there's no doohickey in the front, so you just get more trunk. There's so much storage. It's great. There's a frunk. Look it up. The front.
You cut out so hard on my end, and this is what the best part about it is. You just went frunk, and then you just froze for 45 seconds and came back and just went, "It's a frunk."
I mean, that's pretty much it. You don't really need anything other than me yelling frunk.
But here's the thing that I love about the Cybertruck is that for a little bit extra money, you can get it in lime green with the word Cyber Beast on the side of it. And I have seen 3 of those in Los Angeles, and all 3 of those guys were wearing white jeans. I only saw one of them getting into the vehicle, and then the other 2 times I just had to imagine what the guy looked like. But let me put it this way. You're not driving a lime green car in blue denim.
I mean, for me, if I was Elon to make extra money, I would make you pay extra to not have Cyber Beast on the side.
You do have to pay extra to have Cyber Beast on the side.
No,
it's an additional
to not
cost.
have it. Like that's
to
the
not have
regular.
it.
Is it coming with Cyber Beast? And then you're like, oh, I'd like the version without that. You'd be like, that's $50,000 extra. I don't know how no one has put together that Elon Musk went from like Tony Stark to now I see him as like, remember that episode where Homer has the brother who lets him build the car?
Oh my God, yeah.
And Homer's like, there's 8, what is it? There's like 8 cup holders and stuff. That's what the Cybertruck is. It's just that car from The Simpsons.
I've long felt this, by the way. The car that Homer Simpson designs in that episode is phenomenal, and I want it.
Yeah. Dude, there's parts of that car that are even totally like the Cybertruck where like there we go, buddy. The part of the truck that is just a dome where you can see everything is part of the real Cybertruck.
It's also the thing with in the 90s, people were like, for some reason, one of the signs of opulence was having a what the fuck's it called? Like the moon roof, the goddamn having what's the window above you in a car called? I can't believe I'm spacing on this.
Sunroof.
Skylight, sunroof, skylight. Fuck me. What is this? A loft? The sunroof was like, oh, Did you hear Zach got a new promotion? His Miata has a sunroof now, and he's just cut a hole in the roof. But like, it was the sign of you are truly a billionaire if you have a sunroof. And what's fun about Tesla is it's like everything. It's a half memory of the 90s where it's like, okay, we need to let people know that everyone who drives this has got a lot of money and a lot of T-shirts that they iron. I only know one way to do that. The whole roof is a sunroof.
Ironing a T-shirt is fuck. I remember someone at a gig asked me if I ironed a shirt, and I'm like,
You
this
look
is
like
plaid.
you look like you iron jeans.
Thank you.
No problem. It's a compliment. It's intended as a compliment.
Yeah, just, that's when I realized people take pride in the way they dress much more than I, because it's like
That's not true, but you as a
ironing
comedian,
a flannel shirt. If you try and iron a flannel shirt, the shirt should combust, and a man should show up and be like, "You have to escape me to reclaim what you've lost."
I understand if you actually iron a flannel shirt, you're actually responsible for one deadbeat dad's month of child support.
Yeah, exactly.
That said, though, Dylan, you do love outfits. I remember more than once. I remember once we were we're touring somewhere for a night, and you had like a bigger bag than I was expecting. I was like, "How much clothes you wearing?" And you went, "I like to have a couple of outfit options when we get there." We were playing Algonquin College, and I was just like, and I remember
Do have outfit options, yes.
you do love an outfit option, and hilariously, you also said to me, "I was like, hey, we're gonna hang out this afternoon," and you were like, "We could do that, or I could jag off 3 times in this hotel room." And then I just went and hung out with my uncle, and that's what Dylan did.
Of course.
And now,
It's a
Dylan,
hotel room.
I assume when he's on that road is doing the exact same thing because he has a whole family, so he can't, jack on the sofa like an adult. He's got to do it stood up. He's got
In a
to
main space?
That's right, in a main space. You can't do that. No, those days are done for you.
Certainly. First of all, no. Second of all, it's like, remember when, many comedians have talked about this, but like the family computer thing? And like,
of course,
having that high of a sex drive to like go on the family computer, and you're like, I don't care who gets up. There's so many options of people. This would create a horrible memory. I gotta get this done.
I never did that. I never ever. I just like there was a porno tape called "Nurses in Lust" that was passed around by my group of friends.
Tell my 5-year-old.
I'm telling your son. The son is called "Nurses in Lust," and we passed it around, and that's it. Here's the problem with your son is he has some of the most judgy, cute eyes in the world where he's like, I can't believe you did that, man. That's pretty fucked up for all of us.
Yeah, he's just blankly looking at you like,
yeah, exactly.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Has anyone ever told you he looks like, your son looks like Feodor.
Fedor? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's like a tiny.
He's also loyal to Putin in a really crazy way.
Yeah, we all know that your son is a tanky. I really respect how you're raising both of your kids. You know what I'm saying? You got one kid doing push-ups, one kid doing sit-ups. Both sides of the coin.
What? Yeah. So we covered Cybertrucks. That's so funny. One of my notes was, did you see? Have you seen any wrestling? Have you seen the fact that they have the Costco guys in AEW?
I have to say this. AEW. I really respect it. They were like, listen, we're being WCW, and we mean that. We fucking mean that. I have not popped in a while. Wrestling in general, here's my problem with wrestling is AEW just annoys the shit out of me because it's just kind of weird and insane. In WWE, it's just like...
It's good now, but it's funny.
It's good now,
like,
but here's the problem.
The WWE is good. Every single dollar goes to either Donald Trump or the Saudis. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you like sharing at all, and I don't mean even being political, but I think if you like the concept of sharing, then this thing you liked as a kid, you can't really, you have to just ignore this crazy huge conflict of interest.
This is the bigger thing is I'm not following I watched WrestleMania 40 because I was just like, I just want like some niceness in this year, but I haven't been able to follow it mostly because it's like, yeah, this is really exciting. You're still like, one of these guys was shitty to a friend of mine, and it's just weird to me that I'm in that place in wrestling where I'm like, I can't enjoy this because of friendship, and I hate that that's my reaction, and then I get into a shame spiral.
It's really good if you really divorce yourself from that part too, where it's like, yes, you're giving money to the Saudis. Yes, you're Maybe he isn't, but maybe he's gonna try and start a fascist dictatorship in America. Maybe Donald Trump will. Oh, I know. We need it.
I know. You love the idea of fascism. Listen, Ozzy.
Yes, he's a constitutional sheriff.
I mean, I know. I've seen his
he's making
badge.
sure
What's
people-
weird is that you got him a gun.
Yeah. Well, no, he's going around already house to house, and I was like, "Where's Ozzy?" And he was going around house to house in my neighborhood asking if people were voting Trudeau, and when people said yes, he would just go okay and point like really close to their face without touching them, and then go, "We'll see." See, now he's
He
pissed.
called me and asked for my papers, and I was like, Ozzy, first of all, you're not American, and B, I got him. And he was like, if it's not such a big deal, why don't you just show him? And I was like, first of all, you're way too young to be talking like this or talking at all.
Oh, he texts every single friend I have that moved to the States and said, "You moved doors shut." It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm well aware that he keeps calling me a turncoat. He keeps sending me
anyway.
photos of the color red. This is the color of our coats. You turn from it.
I like that AEW, every review these nerds have of it, they'll be like, "Oh, what a great match. No nonsense story." And they're like, and then they'll get someone back, like even micro stuff, like they got Ricochet back, but Ricochet obviously was in WWE for a while, so like he's now like almost 40, so he can't do as many flippity floops as the AEW guys who are like 26. So now can do more flip. So even when he does his flippity floop matches, he has to like the other guys doing their flippity floops have to
Tone it down.
like, yeah, way down.
Here's the problem with AEW, and it's the problem with everything that millennials do, is it's the same problem with WWE. It's like there is one good thing that we're like, oh, we'll trade it because we have this thing, and then that good thing goes away within a year, and then we're just sort of like, this is just what it is now. Or it's like, hey, look, AEW is going to be a story-driven alternative to the WWE. It's going to be a return to sort of the wrestling that we all kind of fell in love with, which, you know, it's a little bit more intense, but it's going to be realistic. It's going to be really fun. And then within like a week, it's like, oh, these guys are video game zombies. And also, I think this guy did a seance and contacted the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and told Cody Rhodes he's a poo-poo head. And you're like, okay, I'll just look the other way on that. Yeah, Ozzy, I was upset about the AEW launch as well, quite frankly. I was told that it would be much closer to the NWA, and instead I'm getting this pro wrestling guerrilla bullshit. I wish I could be held by my father and comforted by it, but I'm too big for that. And listen, none of us are happy with the direction Tony Khan has taken the company, but what I enjoy more than anything is it's finally given wrestling fans the time to look at Dave Meltzer and be like, wait a minute, so this guy's just been making this up the whole time? And it's like, yeah, this isn't a real thing, guys. He's not Walter Cronkite breaking stories. He's a really annoying man who just befriended some wrestlers for a long enough amount of time that people were like, oh, I want to actually, I'm actually going to befriend Dave Meltzer and use him like a source.
Well, I didn't know how close he was with Trump like the whole way. I didn't know that until I listened to a thing where it's like the whole way Ari Emanuel's loved Trump.
Which is so crazy, given like his brother was Barack Obama's chief of staff.
Fuck your brother.
Yeah, that's exactly the situation. It makes sense completely, which is like, what does your middle brother do? The exact opposite of what I do. I got news for you. That's what he does.
It makes total sense of like, what did mom like talked about him at dinner? I vote Trump now.
Yeah. Also, if you're an agent and your brother is the mayor of the city you grew up in, and your other brother is like, you know, the brain, I figured out how it fucking works. You'd be like, I will crush all of you. I know Tom Hanks.
I'm gonna do just stand up. Oh, what'd you get? The city's doing really well. Oh, what? The brain works well. I watched Selena Gomez take a shit yesterday.
Yeah.
She asked me, how does that sound?
Larry David said to me on the phone, "Pretty, pretty." You know what isn't pretty, pretty? The crime statistics in Chicago. Rom.
But yeah, the AW is now. I like that it's just like late 80s NWA, where it's like, we got a stable. What's it called? I don't fucking know, man. It's named after this guy who looks like a dishwasher's finishing move. Like, remember when people would say CM Punk looked like a dishwasher, and now we have John Moxley who just looks fucking fucked. Like, it's
The
like,
John Moxley,
he wrestles every match like he's 6'8", but it's like, oh, look at his fucking long nipples. Everybody, here's the key to Moxley's offense. You look at those nipples and you're thinking, oh, how do you look like you breastfed your own baby? And then he
John Moxley,
yes,
is the weirdest man in modern wrestling, in that what he does is basically watches one movie and is like, I'm that guy now.
Yeah.
In that and this is known as, he watched Romper Stomper while injured and was like, we're doing that. I'm going to be the Romper Stomper guy. And it's like, you should watch the end of that movie, because that guy gets murdered. That guy gets brutally murdered. And it's about like people taking accountability for their actions and realize, like, you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's cool though. He's got a tattoo. You're like, fuck. It's so fucking boring and weird. And it's also like the most like route one ideas for a show, which is like, he's edgy now. How do you know he's edgy? He's wearing black jeans. First of all, we all know that the edgiest color of jean is white. That's why people who have Cybertrucks have white jeans. Dylan,
Ooh.
a callback.
I mean,
that was me shaking my own hand.
It would be wicked to like have wrestling do those type of characters. Admittedly, like, you know what I think we should do? I think we should, I'm thinking about this. I think we should do a wrestling show again, but I think we should only watch the squash matches shows and like have no idea what's going on, and truly refuse to talk about whatever it is, like WrestleMania. No, couldn't care less. Like, skip it completely. AEW Dark. There was no AEW Dark this week, so we will not be doing a show. I don't even know if they have Dark anymore, because
they do not have Dark anymore. They don't have Dark anymore, and there was a big Reddit theory that actually that was the moment AEW turned bad, and that they were like. I mean, you made a great point. I did end up watching a lot of AEW Dark when I was very depressed in 2021, because you made the greatest point ever, which is like, you don't like entrances and finishing moves. Well, I guess you don't. I guess we're into wrestling for different reasons.
I think it was like, I forget what old wrestler said that, but we're watching it. He's like, yeah, I watched all the Saturday morning shows, because then you know the basics of everyone, because you watch them do a promo and then you see their finishing move. You're like, okay, so he wants to do that to win, and then he really likes rutabagas. He doesn't think anyone has a rutabaga prominent enough diet. And I don't know if that's a babyface or a heel. That's more of a Russo character, shades of gray, because you have to learn what a rutabaga is.
Yeah, exactly. And you find out, like, actually, I'm rooting for him, even though I'm against vegetables, because I'm 9. Here's the one thing also with the Saturday morning shows that had for me when I was 8. Which was, it was on at 10:30, which was usually around the time my mom wanted to go grocery shopping, which meant cartoons over to go sit in a grocery cart like a bored asshole for an hour. And
you were 13.
And I was 27. I
put me in the shopping cart.
And I just remember like always just being very quiet, because it's like, holy fuck, we're gonna make it. We're gonna fucking make it. We're gonna fucking get superstars here. Here we fucking go. Here we fucking go. And then they switched it. I remember I was like 10 or 11, right in the run up to the Attitude Era. They started putting it on at, it's whenever they switched to like the thing before Livewire, and it was boom, 9 a.m. No problem for me. I'll see you there every week.
Here's what I didn't like. Here's a fun thing. There must have been like a couple weeks where they didn't know that they were in the Attitude Era or the White Trash Era, and thought they were still in the Kid Era.
Yeah,
and there's just like, ooh, what's on 10:30 on Superstars? Val Venus is trying to suck his own dick.
I mean, you have to understand that the Vince McMahon documentary was very interesting in that you get the insight in when Vince thinks the Attitude Era starts. And because Vince wants to be Shawn Michaels, he wants to scoop Shawn Michaels' brain and use Shawn Michaels' body. Mm-hmm. He thinks it's when Shawn Michaels put gauze in his crotch and went down to the ring. And it's like, no, Vince, it would in fact be when Steve Austin said Austin 316 and spiked the rate. Like, it's also this thing of like, here's why I'm sort of happy I've taken a real breather from wrestling, is that I know too much about it now. That year of McMahon broke my brain, and that I just have all this information in my head. So watching it being like, no, that doesn't specifically reflect the ratings after that, actually, because it was a turning point way more than Shawn. And I'm just like, I I don't know my own Google passwords, and I can quote chapter and verse the effects ECW's invasion had on Monday Night Raw.
Oh yeah, well, but it's also nice to like you can't microanalyze squash matches because squash matches exist in the exact same place as every other squash match. Like this guy's gonna lose, and this guy gets the whole match, and there's no like that. This should have happened. You can't like fantasy book a squash match.
Yes, you
It's
can.
like the guy's gonna do his 8 favorite moves and then beat him. If the character's like a chicken shit heel, they're still gonna cheat even though it's against a fucking, jobber. Like Mr. Perfect would do that. He would cheat against jobbers all the time.
Oh my god, it was the best. I mean, the Mankind squash matches were my favorite because Mick Foley was crazy and he would let the other guy get offense in so that the Mick Foley could react and be like, oh my god, he loves pain. And I always, like, again, if you ever wonder, like, oh, why was Mick Foley so fucking good? And it's like, it's shit like that. Like, he just took the extra level to be like, okay, you're going to understand my character in 3 seconds of this match. Mm-hmm. And that's something I don't find people do anymore. Like, the closest you get is CM Punk, who I'm just... Stop appearing.
I know, it's difficult. If someone's a dick to you and your friend, it's difficult to be like, but they are good. I mean, I've run into this in comedy where there's comedians who are fucking assholes, but you got to be like, listen, man, he's better than this guy I hang out with. Like, you know what I mean? And they'll be like, and he, there's certain comedians where people start shitting on them. I'm like, yeah, this guy's a fucking piece of shit. And they'd be like, and his act. I'm like, his act's very good. You are not as good as him. And you and the reason he does more shows for more money is because he gets a better crowd reaction than you, which is the definable thing about what people pay for is to laugh. So I'm sorry.
This is Dylan, by the way, taking the gloves off in Canadian comedy. I don't want to be rude, but if people were truly honest about laugh rate v booking policy in Canada, there would be a lot less comedians. There's a lot of people. I literally heard this said by a comedian in Canada. People say I do well, but I've never heard them laugh. I guess it's how the stage is set up at comedy clubs. And that lives in my head every day. That person had been doing comedy for 10 years. I have never...
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them.
Cognitive dissonance literally came out and shook me on the fucking hand. What's the most bleak thing you've ever heard a comedian say? I mean, I think mine's up
and
there
your next
with
comedian, John Hastings.
Whoa! I don't let comedians bring me on stage, so that doesn't count.
Leave the stage. I will introduce myself through the God
I
mic.
do it myself, actually. I don't want anyone up there souring the audience.
I don't know. There's a lot of them that I've like not ingested because I'm not a good listener, John. Maybe, I don't know. There's been a lot.
I have a loop in my head playing of all the comedians in the 2 months leading up to me moving in England. There was like I don't know what I brought out in people, but so many people got hammered and then touched my face and told me I should have moved to England. I can see all of their faces flashing before my eyes right now. And you're just like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. I want to wear your skin
people
too.
Like talking about this is constant, but like, the excuses people make for themselves. This isn't everything of like, if this and this would have happened, then da 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 da. It's like, you're just not very good.
I love this new Dylan. I want to be there for these confrontations. Because here's the problem. If Dylan's too sweet, you can't. If I said it to people,
it's not worth it. Like confronting someone and be like, listen, man, you're not good at this. Now pack a lunch. Like now you have a 4-hour conversation about like, why would you, first of all, why would you say that? I have talks about this all the time. I just want to tell this person that. I'm like, but then you understand you have to spend like 3 hours being like, what is it? What is like, there's certain comedians, I would say, like if a comedian is like, I was a doctor and now I'm a comedian, then it's the audience's job and the other comedian's job to tell them they are bad and the audience's job not to laugh so that they quit and still be a doctor because we need doctors very badly.
Yeah, we need doctors more than we need comedians, quite frankly.
Exactly. Teachers, every comedian who is a teacher, even the ones who are like really good, should stop. So
they can go back to being teachers?
Yes, we need teachers.
I mean, I don't know if we want the comedian teachers though.
Yes, we do.
All right, well.
I was a custodian. There was a lady who would lock her own keys in the closet every day.
What do you mean?
Like she was a teacher her mom was a teacher, her sister was a teacher. She would lock her own keys in her closet every day. She's like, I lock the keys in the closet. And it would be like, they've added shit and they don't pay you past 9 p.m. So I have to like do all this shit before 9 p.m. I'm like running around in work boots and like I'm on the top floor. I have to come down 3 flights of stairs to unlock her thing. And she wants to have like a little talk. And she's like, have you ever seen someone trying to appease somebody and they're just in a full thing of sweat and just like,
yeah, I've done a podcast with you for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I want to say.
I have a scrub of nothing for some reason.
I want you to know, Dylan is acting like there was a lot of work happening at that job. We did full hours of podcasting when you were in that job. Like full, like.
Some days there was a lot of work.
Were there?
Yeah, there was days where there was a lot of work.
That was one of the wildest times to be your friend. Was the cycle of like, you know what? Comedy's not coming back. I'm getting a union job. I've gotten a union job. Actually, comedy is back and I can make about the same amount of money. I'm back to comedy.
Oh, wait, my wife has postpartum. I quit.
Yeah.
Quitting, and there is nothing better than... And the guy was a dick, too. So there is nothing better. I remember I called in sick on my second last day. He's like, is this the present you're getting me?
Oh,
like,
my
what?
God.
Present? I've known you 4 weeks. Anyway.
I think about some of the things that bosses of mine specifically have said where I was like, what was the actual plan there?
Some people, I guess, are just raised that you can guilt people. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people have maybe weird parents.
I agree. Yeah, thank you. I mean, for those of you wondering, did Dylan's own son just start crying when he said weird parents? The answer is, of course, because Dylan is the weirdest parent of them all.
Oh, yeah?
Whoa, no, he's sleeping. Don't give him coffee. Here's the thing, though, that I mean this, and I mean it, and I mean it. I wonder if this boss still exists. I assume it can't exist in this society, which is the horrific rage monster just running around screaming at people.
100% it does.
Okay, but here's the best part of that boss is, and this is experience working in restaurants, is when that guy meets a guy that he can't actually yell at, but he tries. That's maybe my favorite interaction I've ever seen in my entire life. Working at Anton and James, the Greek man who was the manager, Johnny didn't like how long Garfield, the chef, was taking making chicken one day. I was doing the dressings. He walked in and went, Garfield, you're too fucking slow. And Garfield, holding the biggest knife I've ever seen, just went, I don't give a fuck about time, and I don't give a fuck about you. Talk to me again, Greek man. I'll fucking stab you. And just went back to chopping chicken.
Yeah.
And the man,
well, I mean, that's kitchens, man. Like kitchens, they don't.
Just the greatest thing was just a man who had yelled at everyone, just turned around, walked down to the cash register, and just was on cash for the rest of the day. Think about that.
That's the analogy I want to make to John Moxley. Is John Moxley went from looking like cool bartender to now head chef.
Yeah, it's very interesting. He is very much done the elder millennial guy who should have gotten out of the service industry metamorphosis, which is like, okay, for 10 years he was a bartender and did 2 cooking shifts, but he was dating some hot babes, so it was cool. Now he is 41 and he is a quote unquote restaurant consultant, but really what that means is he is a drug dealer. He's just a drug dealer now.
I mean, that's the fucking crazy thing about that whole, like, once again, I mean, it's a belabored point, but AEW, just like the fact that they, for how many years has it been now? Like 5 years, maybe 6 years of just them being like John Moxley. And then I understand, like, dude, he looked dope when he was first in AEW and he was on a bit of a cycle. You know what I mean? He had the fucking cool, like he had the hair cut short. So it was kind of like a military cut. But now he's just like a super white guy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you need new guys. You need like, I understand Wardlow didn't work out. They have Swerve Strickland. For some reason, they laid off that. It's hard to make MJF anything but a heel. Then he gets immediately cheered because he's such a fun heel. They fucked up the MJF Adam Cole thing. Will Ospreay was a guy they had a chance with, but then just kind of were like, no, he loses. Why?
Here's the problem.
I don't want to.
is they book everyone like it's the same. They're the same person. They book everyone the way that basically Kenny Omega was booked in New Japan in 2017 because Tony Khan doesn't know his job. He just learned his job the first year of AEW, so he's just pulling from that bag of tricks, but it's not interesting now. They haven't fucked up Wardlow. He's in this weird faction that they just, here's what they do, is basically WCW is really good at writing.
They false started Wardlow like 9 times.
But here's the thing, is they write really good chapter 1, really good chapter 2, and then unlike anywhere else where they like, oh, they'll stop, they like stop or move on to, like they move on to something or they do a bad chapter 3, they're just like, book's done. And you're like, no, you gotta, you just set it up. It's like, that's finished. Like the MJF Adam Cole thing, it was just like, it makes no sense how they ended it. It like, he comes back.
Ended it. Yeah, he came back, beat up Adam Cole, and then now MJF's a heel and Adam Cole's a face, but they're like trying to make him a face, but it didn't really work.
It didn't really work because he has this whole faction that they never explained why he did it. It's just bad. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I get why Child Magnet Khan.
There you go.
CM Punk went to WWE. He was like, wait, I could make even more money for like 4 years. And like at least it'll be logical, or it'll go there.
Yeah, and now this makes sense, and now I'm the part-timers that I used to hate.
Yeah, I also would just like to point out, and I'll never stop pointing this out, which is like I do love wrestling fans because wrestling fans like everything, which is like we just like who we like, which is like most of CM Punk's fans in wrestling are guys who were bullied, who went into the service industry, had a couple of threesomes, and have a misplaced sense of confidence. CM Punk's entire excuse for how it's not his fault he got fired from AEW is like, that guy's a bitch. Sometimes you have to punch a bitch in the face. And everyone's like, yeah, I want to do that too to the bitches I know. So everyone looks the other way where it's like, no. He, for no reason, punched a guy. It's embarrassing that the company released the footage. But when you're a giant company or part of a giant family-run company like AEW is, you can't actually, if there's footage of that and you're like, why'd you guys do that? And he's like, well, I punched him because fuck him. You're like, hey, that opens us up to a huge amount of liability, so you are fired. And then CM Punk goes on, quite frankly, the best journalist in the world, Ariel Helwani's hilarious fun show. And it's just like, sometimes you gotta fucking fuck people up in Ariel Helwani because he is a bit embarrassing. It's like, yeah, I like to do that too.
Well, he's got to like rub the guy's back a bit. Like, yeah, I really want you to come back the next time you have a personality disorder led attack on someone.
Just please.
Next time you see mommy on someone's face.
Yeah. Just understand that the media used to be an information source, and now it's just another vehicle to push advertising. And I need people with followings to come on my show because
yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you this though. I do love Ariel Helwani just because there's something about his coverage of the UFC where you're just like, I believe this, because every other journalist who has to now sit in the room with Dana White, where you're just at this point, he's like, any critical questions, you will be killed in front of your family. And so Ariel Helwani just is like, just like the whole Ariel Helwani, Tom Aspinall, John Jones thing. It's just watching the head of the AV club actually got a date with a cheerleader, and he's just so pleased with himself. Like, once again, Dana White is not presenting the facts correctly, and I will. You're like, go on, Ariel, get him, go on, you little guy.
Well, he's in Dana has done this to a bunch of MMA guys, like Josh Gross, who worked with Sherdog. I think he still works in MMA, but he doesn't do he didn't become as big a podcaster as Dana White did, Ariel Helwani did, but Helwani was really special in that he was working for the UFC, and this was in a time where it was really popular to scoop. So there's a guy in the NBA, Adrian Wojnarowski, and he would announce, if you're on Twitter, he would announce the pick ahead of the NBA, and the NBA would get pissed off, but they still know about freedom of information, so they're like, whatever. This adds to the fun, right?
The reason why it also doesn't happen so much in places like the NFL is if you spend a lot of money on corporate and operational security, it doesn't happen. And it's also the main trick is you just make sure that every staff member involved with knowing that is paid really well. So a journalist can't be like, I'll give you $500. And they're like, yep, all right. Because that's how it happens.
No, but Woj would do it for every single pick.
Oh, that's every really good. That's
pick
really
1
good.
to 2 to 3 to 4. There's been a trade. He was always right ahead of time. So if you were watching the draft, you would see it, and then 2 minutes later, they'd be like, "There's a trade. Isn't this crazy?" And everyone, and like half of the people know already. Anyway, so
how was he doing that? Do you mind me asking?
Ariel Helwani did. I don't know. You can find, John, if you look up one YouTube documentary about it, you're going to find 2,000. So
oh, great.
Enjoy your
Perfect.
evening.
Well, yeah, I will enjoy my life. So the Ariel Helwani one, I love this leak so much. It's real
he
good.
leaked something, and then
Do you know what he leaked?
the UFC was like, "You are no longer allowed." And then they fucking tried. I forget what Dana White did. He tried to be like, "You're fired from everything you'll ever do."
So what it was this. So he leaked that Brock Lesnar was coming back to UFC 200. It's never been confirmed who leaked it, but it's like all but implied that it was someone in Brock Lesnar's camp that just told Ariel Helwani.
Paul Heyman.
It was Paul Heyman. It was clearly Paul Heyman and just told him. And he leaked it before the UFC. He leaked it maybe an hour before the UFC.
But UFC was they have these huge press conferences, and the whole draw is like, what's the announcement going to be?
But the announcement wasn't even made then. It was made during the event. And he scooped the whole thing. And he wouldn't give up his source, and they were like, "Tell us who told you." And he was like, "No, that's not how that works." And then they were like, "Well, we're going to kick you off of everything," because he was on either Fox Sports 1. He was on whatever the same broadcasting company as the UFC was. Mm-hmm. And Dana White's like, "We'll fucking have you kicked off." And it's one of those things where Dana White's powerful, but he's not as powerful as someone who owns the network. They were like, "Well, no, you can't do that. That's bad."
Well, now he's pretty powerful. Now Donald Trump would just have Ariel Helwani killed.
It's 2016, baby. And yeah, and then they were like, "We're banning Ariel from everything." And then everyone got really pissed off. And he was like, "Okay, he can keep his Fox Sports 1 job, but I'm not giving him access." And that actually turned out to be the stupidest thing Dana White ever did, because then it just basically made like, okay, so Ariel Helwani is the best journalist, and he's so bad, we're not even going to let him in the building. And he still scoops them constantly because no one likes Dana White. He's a bully, and Ariel Helwani is publicly he's the guy that pisses the bully off the most. So like, I guarantee every time Dana White like yells "die motherfucker" in the secretary's face, she's just like, "Here's the card for 310. Here's the Francis Ngannou negotiating notes." Like, it's like so obvious how it happens, where it's like, why are people constantly leaking against me? I'm such a nice guy when I'm telling them that I don't like them. I use proper grammar and I correct their grammar.
Yeah, I mean, he's Vince McMahon is like corporate speak aggressive, and Dana White is just like an aggressive guy. He's a real no good Nick, in my opinion. John, are you watching NXT?
From your mouth to God's ears. Am I what to NXT?
Are you watching NXT?
Never. Why would I do that? I haven't watched it
NXT
since Shinsuke Nakamura
show
left.
On television.
Did you say it's the horniest show on television?
It's the horniest show. There's so many memes. They're so funny about how that basically they lured Shawn Michaels out of retirement because they were like, "Listen, you know how you're always talking about Pog and Empathy videos on XTube? You can do that live." And he was like, "Give me a cowboy hat. I'll be at NXT in 45 minutes."
Yeah, it was just, I could still be Christian, right? Because they're not technically screwing. And you're like, yeah.
So they get in there and they have a little fight, don't they? Anyway.
I want to, excuse me.
Like, not only do these women have huge asses, John, all their finishers are butt-oriented.
Why wouldn't they be butt-oriented? If your largest feature is your butt and you're not using that as your weapon, I guess we're not in the same...
Like a wombat. You know about wombats?
I don't know about wombats.
They have large asses that are calcified. So if you stick your head, like snakes will stick their head into their cave, and then the wombat just comes down and just like smashes its head
with an ass smashing.
Large calcified ass. Yeah.
I'm gonna say this right now. I don't know if there is a God, but I think we get along just good. Where he's like, "Yo, check out what I did to this snake, man. That guy's ass fucking smashed his head. You got smashed by an ass, bro. You made that bitch eat an apple, and now your children get their ass smashed by somebody."
That bitch ate an apple. And then fucking years later, she rimmed that guy.
That bitch ate an apple. Nobody rims me. Those are the 2 commandments. Tell Moses. I think there should be 10. I said 2.
There's a lot of good stuff happening. There's the Jared McCain in the NBA, who's a very good player. Also was TikTok famous before getting in the NBA, so he's still keeping that up and he's famous for doing like he's doing TikTok. He's not like some guys they're professional athletes and they do like sketches. They'll do sketch comedy or something. No, he is literally lip syncing fucking Hosier songs or whatever, fucking go, and then scores 30 points against your team, and then you have to watch. Imagine your team, you lose on a last second shot, and then the guy's like, "I love you always forever."
I cannot discuss basketball without bringing up the fact that LeBron James is playing with his son. It's the only, literally, if you go to the LA Times right now, every article is just like, we kill LeBron, right? We got to get this kid off the fucking court. Like, it's just like everyone's just like, I don't know how
He's
we got
in the G League now.
Pardon me?
Bronny's in the G League now.
Oh, is he out?
Oh yeah. Oh. And it's not like any other thing. Like Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. played on the same team. Ken Griffey Sr. was still playing at a very high level. Ken Griffey Jr. would go on, like, had injuries and still went on to be like, I think like 5th or 6th all time in home runs, like so many home runs.
Ken Griffey Jr. was the quiet king of baseball in the mid 90s. Like before we got into the juiciest of all the times. Oh, the summer, you guys don't know how good the summer of 1999
Watch
was.
the home run derby. Watch the home run derby from 1999.
Fuck yeah, man. Amazing. I don't like sports. I do not like sports. And I watched baseball that summer because it was literally like, yo, this monster is about to fucking hit a satellite with this ball. And we are not asking questions. Like, it was. Also, no one fell harder than Sammy Sosa. Like in June, they were like, this man will be president of the world. And by October, they were like, they don't say motherfucker anymore in Chicago. They just call each other Sammy Sosas.
Oh, I thought you meant the fact that he's like Michael Jacksoning his own skin.
Is he really?
Look up Sammy Sosa now. It's terrifying.
Oh, there's nothing but I love a formerly famous person who's just going hardcore crazy. Like just like he's
and also is like, no, I'm not. You got a little bit of plastic surgery.
No,
like
Sammy,
we know someone
Sammy, no. Oh no! I'm gonna say this. Oh no! I'm gonna no.
Yes? Oh, no.
Here's the problem. The only photos you can find of him with that much paler skin is he has a horrendous hat on, and that's just like that's just not helping the image. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at it and you're like, oh, I wonder if this guy's a creep, and he's just like, Avita Zine, and you're like, yeah. Like that's the thing with Mark McGuire. I guarantee Mark McGuire is dressed in all Carhartt that he bought in 2005, just wandering around some property, not asking questions from any journalist. Did you take that juice, Mark? I don't talk to people that are cucks or whatever he says. It's also, if Mark McGuire is not a Trump guy, let's see, Mark McGuire, is he a Trump guy? He really looks like he would be.
I mean, 100%.
Trump seems to be apolitical, which I'm going to say this right now, very shocked by.
Apolitical, which means Trump guy.
Yeah, which means he just keeps it quiet. Like, I guarantee that guy is going to be a rough person to sit across the Thanksgiving.
Would you say this is your yard? That'll be him on the Undertaker's podcast. Oh, yeah. The best place I've ever had a kiwi was in...
Here's the thing with the Undertaker's podcast. I dipped in recently. He's got a new level of confidence since he had Trump on, but it's one of those things where you're like, oh, no, you think you're a broadcaster now. Like, he's really leaning into just telling stories with that weird guy that's there, and he keeps having Glenn Jacobs on.
Bonrad Thompson.
Yeah, he's got Tonrad Thompson sitting there.
Fuck, you know what we should do? Let's do an episode, I guess just Patreon, but
no.
Let's do an episode of
for free.
Something to Wrestle. Let's see what they're talking about on Something to Wrestle right now.
Oh, you don't know?
Is it?
Oh, let me tell you.
Are they just talking about? They're just reviewing the Janelle Grant sex tape.
It's you're not far
brother.
off.
That didn't happen.
For a shoot,
it's actually a vignette for Mankind.
Yeah, for a shoot, that video is actually me. I'm Janelle Grant in that video.
Here's a shoot. I just shot a ton to watch. Anyway.
Yeah, here's a shoot. that woman's a liar, according to this note that was written for me. Anyway, so
You know what
Bruce,
I always liked about wrestling too is like it's so homoerotic, and then also the carny language is homoerotic. What are we gonna call revealing secrets? Shooting.
Yeah.
Why don't we call it anything else? All right, I got other ideas. Being erect.
Yeah.
Fucking a man.
yeah, giving me your social security number so I'm allowed to visit you in the hospital. Wait, what?
Sucking your brother's dick. There's a bunch of other little
yeah,
things
exactly.
we could call
Jacking
it.
me off in a trunk of a car while wearing a gun mask. What's a gun mask? Why was that the thing I focused on? So so you're not aware of the controversy around Bruce Pritchard these days?
That he knew that that he was the right hand man to a sexual predator.
No, that it was they keep finding diaries where it's like Bruce Pritchard. It was all my idea. You'll see. No, so Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes have both been quietly like suspended from the WWE just right after Vince McMahon announced he'll be launching his own production company. So then also Bruce has not appeared on his podcast. It's been with JBL. I'm not sure if it's been explained. The rumor is either his wife is sick again. His wife has been on again, off again, battling cancer, which is terrifying. Or what I choose to believe it is that some lawyer discovered a bunch of like photos of Bruce just being like, "I approve of this," and they were like, "We need to keep you quiet and off the internet." So now, something to wrestle with currently is being hosted by JBL. And let me tell you right now,
11th was the last Bruce Pritchard one. Yep.
yeah.
And then, JBL and JBL on working with Undertaker. I mean, JBL is a good substitute.
Is he? He is not a good substitute. Literally a guy who was one of the architects of modern wrestling being replaced by the Sergeant Slaughter of the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, hey, it's a good thing that it's still going because I guess Conrad needs to not talk to his wife. I
assume that Conrad Thompson's like, this is the only room Ric Flair won't come in because he will then, I assume, have to answer questions about his wrestling career, and then he'll think I owe him money, so I just don't let him come in here. It is... explain Conrad Thompson to someone who doesn't understand wrestling. Okay, so there was this guy who made a bunch of money off of predatory mortgage lending in the 2000s. He saved that money. How he spent that money, because life is hell and we're all here, was he would pay wrestlers to hang out with him for between 1 and 4 hours. Through that, he met the greatest sponge in the history of not paying for drinks that the Airport Hilton franchise has ever seen, a man named Richard Fleur. That man has a daughter who I assume is very judgy, even though she has never paid for anything. Conrad Thompson marries her, and I assume in the prenup it is listed, look, you can't loan my dad money, but you have to give my dad money.
Yeah. The prenup
that
is
Ric
you
Flair.
Can't record an episode with David Flair. That's the only thing.
That's so crazy.
Stop trying to
State Trooper
contact
David Flair. Do you
David
understand
Flair.
that there is a large part of me that wants to go to Minnesota and start speeding just so I could be like, David Flair work at your station?
David Flair's got to fucking be like, he's got to be like, man, my dad fucking sucks.
I mean, I assume he looks in the mirror and he's like, at least I didn't turn out like Reed, I guess.
You know who could probably really have a good podcast? David Flair and Shane McMahon.
Oh my God.
It's called Trauma Time.
Yeah, what did your dad do? Here's the problem though, is like, I guarantee at a certain point, like Shane McMahon would turn to David Flair and be like, I thought we were here to talk about trauma.
Oh, wait a minute. He got drunk and did what at your birthday?
Yeah.
My dad did that sober at my birthday.
Yeah, my dad did that after he, for 6 years, just told me my birthday was on a different day. And then one day turned to me, what's that, your birthday, you fucking idiot?
That's your gimmick birthday.
Yeah, we're keeping it kayfabe from now on. I don't know what any of this is. You're not paying attention to me when I'm talking to you when you're sleeping. Always be listening. I'll always be talking to you when you think I'm not talking to you.
That is the thing about wrestling, is that like it is a Trojan horse to having a true crime podcast because everyone's done crimes.
Yeah, it is. It's a true crime podcast for guys that are no longer allowed to use the forklift at work. We used to have that privilege, but let me tell you, it turns out a couple of White Claws after lunch makes you a bit loose on the controls.
All right, we're gonna stop this now.
No, we're not. The podcast goes until your child wakes up. Let me start singing. Let